And so you're like right at the heart of the sort of the New York tech renaissance here. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I mean, like, so you've seen it through multiple cycles. What do you think is going on? Is this real? Is it is it a sustainable trend?
So I could not be more bullish about what's happening in New York. And I compare this to, in 1996, I was out raising money for DoubleClick. I could hardly find a VC firm here. I couldn't find a lawyer in New York City to take us public.
Okay.
And that's in New York. There are a lot of lawyers.
Yeah.
So things have changed. Now there's tons of VC money, and now we're getting a lot of second and third generation entrepreneurs. Myself being one of them, and another 10, 15 people from DoubleClick that are launching their own companies, among many others.
Yep.
And so the core fundamentals of New York are fantastic. You're seeing great businesses in a bunch of different areas, and this is sustainable because we're only on second or third generation. 5, 10 years from now, we'll be on the fourth and fifth generation.
Yeah.
And it just gets stronger.
But why New York and not, like, why not Boston or something? I mean, what is it about New York that makes it special?
So in '96, the #1 question we had for DoubleClick was, why aren't you in Boston? Because that's where internet startups, that's where startups are on the West Coast, on the East Coast. And you don't even hear anything about Boston now in the internet space. New York must be 10 times more important. And the reason is that, one, it's just human talent. If you're starting a business tomorrow, like Guilt, and you need buyers, you need to be in the fashion industry. You got to be in New York. If you're starting a music startup, you really should be in New York or LA. If you're starting business publishing, like Business Insider, where are financial journalists? A lot of them are going to be in New York. So there are a whole bunch of different areas where you have to be here. Then there are other areas like Tengen where you just have very talented people that have experience in the internet and want to launch something, and they happen to live here. So it's all about talent, human talent, and New York has it.
I mean, Tengen seems to me a bit of an exception in the sense that you're sort of really hardcore tech.
It
seems to me like Boston, like, they did so well in the 90s when sort of a lot of the action was around like optical switching and sorts of the hard, because obviously they have MIT and all these great engineers. Now a lot of the action is sort of stuff you're doing, like was sort of up the stack, so to speak, right? Where it's applications of technology, and particularly targeted towards consumers. And New York is historically a consumer town, right? So do you think like the Tengens maybe are the exception, and that generally what we'll see is a lot more kind of Guilt,
I think
fashion,
so we'll clearly see more consumer, but we're going to see a lot of B2B. Don't forget that, DoubleClick, 24/7, all those were B2B companies that were technology companies, and they were based here. Now they're based here partly because the ad agencies were here and they were potential clients. But these were technology companies that were built out of here. So I think that's going to continue.
The objection I always hear is you can't hire enough engineers here. But in my experience, like Silicon Valley, people like to move to New York. It's sort of an immigrant, and I mean that including domestic immigrants or whatever, but people like to move here, right? And Google has proven, for example, they have 2,000 engineers. So
actually, I don't have that much sympathy when a 10-person startup says we can't get any engineers. Meanwhile, at DoubleClick we had 500 engineers. So where did they come from? And Google has 1,000 or 1,500. So there are never enough good engineers anywhere in the country. And I do think that New York is more starved because of success, meaning that there are 10 times more jobs in New York than there were 10 years ago, and there aren't 10 times more people. So there is a shortage. Silicon Valley is probably 3 times more jobs, and they still have a shortage. There aren't enough good people, but it's a good problem to have.